It was here that George Washington was camped out quite often during the American Revolution, especially toward the end. Now, it was in the hills of Verplancks Point where George Washington made his encampment, and it was right here in this spot that George Washington honored John Paulding, David Williams, and Isaac Van Wart by giving them each a set of pistols. That was in recognition for the contribution they made by capturing John Andre. In the final weeks of the war, John Paulding was once again captured and injured in a conflict between his unit and none other than Colonel James Delancey and his cowboys, which were officially known as Delancey's Rangers. He was taken prisoner, brought down to Morrisania in the Bronx, and then down to what is today Roosevelt Island. At the time it was known as Blackwell's Island, but he was a very famous person at this time, so he was ferried over to Manhattan, where he wined and dined with British soldiers and led out a fairly comfortable end of the American Revolution. Right along Route 9A, the very busy Route 9A in the Elmsford area, just south of 287 and Tarrytown Road, rests the old Dutch church and its cemetery. And right in the center of the cemetery is the monument to Isaac Van Wart. Just south of the cemetery is Van Wart Street, named in his honor. You will find throughout Westchester County there are a number of street signs of Paulding, Van Wart, and Williams, and it was all in the honor of these three men. John Paulding actually has a school named after him up in Cold Spring and a fire department across the river in Spark Hill. Now, while all three of these men were greatly celebrated in their day, from the time that John Andre was captured well after the American Revolution, in 1817, John Paulding would apply for an increase in his pension because the cost of living had gone up, and things had shifted quite dramatically in the halls of Congress. Whereas at one time, they represented the Jeffersonian ideal of the citizen soldier, the average everyday farmer running his affairs and running the affairs of his country. This was in direct opposition to the more Hamiltonian philosophy of those who were the big landholders, those who owned the big enterprises, the educated, the wealthy, controlling things. And this was so opposite of what the American Revolution was about, because the Hamiltonian philosophy is far closer to what the British Empire was prior to the American Revolution. All three of these men were not wealthy. They were all farmers.